Kind of Blue is not an album you listen to casually. It's a threshold, a quiet doorway into a world where time slows, where silence has weight, and where restraint becomes a form of strength. In a culture that rewards noise and speed, this album feels like a rare moment of truth. It doesn't demand your attention, it earns it. It becomes a mirror for your own inner stillness. When Miles Davis turned to modal jazz, he wasn't simply inventing a new sound. He was reaching back into a forgotten past. Long before harmony became a rigid architecture, ancient church music used modes, simple scales that carried entire emotional worlds. Those early melodies didn't follow strict progressions. They moved freely, they floated, they improvised. By embracing modality, Miles revived that lost freedom and redirected jazz toward its most elemental roots. Inspired by George Russell's theory, he freed musicians from dense chord grids and asked a new question, not what are the changes, but what do you want to express? Modal jazz is not about doing less, it's about removing everything that doesn't matter. It lets musicians explore like travelers in an open landscape, not forced forward by harmonic machinery, but guided by instinct, breath, and intuition. It echoes Debussy and Ravel, who had already brushed against these colors, shimmering harmonies, suspended chords, phrases drifting like light on water, but Miles pushes further. He takes that palette of impressionism and gives it risk, breath, and danger. The melody becomes sovereign. It can turn, hesitate, leap, or fall silent without asking permission. You hear Coltrane stretching a phrase like he's searching the edges of a new planet. You hear Bill Evans place a chord like a painter choosing a single perfect brushstroke. You hear Miles let silence speak first and only respond when he has something true to say. This is not decoration. This is intention. This is music stripped to its essential truth. People imagine great art requires comfort, perfect conditions, stability. Nietzsche argued the opposite. Constraint creates form. Pressure sharpens vision. Difficulty forces clarity. Miles Davis is one of the clearest proofs that Nietzsche was right. He created precision in a world that denied him softness or safety. He built calm in a time that offered him tension. He shaped clarity out of an environment that gave him anything but clarity. Kind of Blue is not an escape from constraint. It is the transformation of constraint into structure and strength. If you want a modern image of this idea, look at Tony Stark forging the first Iron Man suit in a cave. No laboratory, no comfort, no ideal environment, just fear, pressure, danger, and a handful of tools. Yet it is precisely in that cave, not in the billion-dollar lab, that his genius reveals itself. Kind of Blue carries the same energy, a masterpiece shaped not by luxury, but by discipline, clarity, and a mind refusing to break. Greatness here is the product of focus under fire. This album is not only Miles Davis at his peak, it is a convergence of giants. Coltrane's spiritual searching, Cannonball Adderley's fire and joy, Bill Evans's quiet architecture, Paul Chambers grounding every phrase, Jimmy Cobb shaping the pulse like a heartbeat. It is the musical equivalent of assembling the perfect Avengers roster, a group of once-in-a-generation talents who elevate one another instead of competing. A collective alignment so rare that no era, no studio, no lineup could ever replicate it again. The dream team of jazz, a historical singularity. This album teaches you to listen differently, to think differently, to move differently through the world. It shows that simplicity can be radical, that silence can be muscular, that restraint is not weakness, but intention. It sharpens perception. It resets the mind. Kind of Blue is not background music. It is a lesson in clarity. 1 hour with this album can affect how you work, how you focus, how you breathe, and how you understand yourself. In a noisy age, it reminds us that true strength often speaks softly.